The Offense of the Cross by John G. Lake. Galatians 5:11. And I, brethren, if I yet preach circumcision, why do I yet suffer persecution? Then is the offense of the cross ceased. Offense, the stumbling block of the cross. The word calls for careful consideration. After writing to the Galatians, Paul calls attention to the offense of the cross. He suggests that those who read his letter would understand what he was saying. The offense of the cross was expected, and if it was absent, there was something wrong. And remember, brethren, if I preach circumcision, then hath the stumbling block of the cross ceased. We sing, in the cross of Christ I glory, towering over the wrecks of time. All the light of sacred story gathers around that head sublime. We have almost with astonishment, and even with a tendency toward reluctance, come to a phrase like this, the stumbling block of the cross, or the offense of the cross. And in meditation I ask you to consider with me the word, the arresting challenge of the word offense, or stumbling block. It is very interesting to see how the great translators have attempted to get over the import of the word. Wycliffe's translation employed the word that is now obsolete in our language. We render it the schlager of the cross. That was two words merged. We have divided them into slander and scandal. Cranmer translated slonger. The Geneva Council translated it slander. The Roman Catholic translated it scandal. The King James translates it offense. The English and American Revised Standard puts it stumbling block. They were all trying to interpret the word. I am daring to submit for your consideration the Revised Version as exactly expressing the word scandalon or stumbling block. What does this mean, the stumbling block of the cross? It was something that men stumble over intellectually, stumble over emotionally. It is a stigma attached to the cross. The cross was well known throughout the Roman world. The Romans had taken it over from the Venetians for capital punishment. But even in the world, it never produced anything in the sense of scandal or upheaval. It was the symbol of justice. It was the symbol of punishment for breaking the law. It was the poetic result of wrongdoing against righteousness and justice. Men were not scandalized by the cross. Then what is Paul talking about? It is the cross of Christ, yes. But why should it be a scandal? It was the cross of Christ as presented to the world. What was being presented to the world that would make it a scandal? What were those early ministers and preachers declaring about the cross of the Nazarene? What were they declaring? They were declaring that the cross was the very center of religion, the secret of government, the inspiration of culture. That was what characterized the scandal. Jews from Jerusalem were moving out over all the world. Wherever they went, they were telling that the cross of the Nazarene is the center of religion. It is the secret of authority in government. It is the inspiration of true culture and human life. Men laughed. They stumbled over it. Men were against it emotionally, morally, and intellectually. We can see that there is the same sense in the minds of men today. The cross is still spelling to men a scandal. Men are still intellectually tripped by it. they still revolt against it. The cross is still bearing a stigma. You and I are called to represent that cross in word and in life. And if we fail to do so, we are failing in loyalty to our Lord and Master. Will you come patiently with me to the historic scene? Yes, I would remind you of the well-known fact that while Pilate had the superscription written over Jesus, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews," that the wording was not the significant thing. The significant thing was that he had put it in Hebrew, Latin, and Greek. The purpose was that no stranger near the cross should fail to read it. The three languages of the world's powers were there. Now look at the cross. First from the soul of the Jew. Then look at it from the mind of the Roman. Lastly, look at it from the person of a Greek. Now supposing you could put yourself back of this scene and could see it as a Jew and was aware of the fact that its witnesses were telling that it was the secret of religion. The Jew looking at the cross, what did he see? Disgrace. To the Jew, the cross was the place of moral disgrace. Cursed is everyone that hangeth on a tree. Criminals. Cursed. Then for the Jews to be told that the cross was the center of religious life, the secret and the only secret of righteousness for an individual in the world, don't you see intellectually how he stumbled over it? That the cross of the crucified malefactor is the secret of righteousness. Preposterous. Then imagine you are a Roman and look at the cross from that standpoint. The time our Lord was born into the world and exercised his ministry and went to that cross was the only time in history where a great power had mastered the known world. It had been attempted and never succeeded. It was the period known as Pax Romana, Roman peace. While I agree that war is hell, I declare that that period was worse. Man or woman, boy or girl, did not own his own or her own soul under the rule of Rome. Her proconsuls were everywhere. Her soldiers were everywhere. An example is shown by Pilate, the Roman governor. He had mingled the blood of the Galileans with the Jewish sacrifices. A Roman comes and looks at the crucified Nazarene, and the Roman is told that that is the throne of an imperial power and an imperial empire. That is the king. That is the one and the only one who ever will subdue humanity so that his rule will be universal. I can hear the laughter of Rome at the very suggestion. The Roman suggestion of the cross is that the man there is not only in disgrace, but that the man is defeated. It was not a question of morality to them. They had their own laws and jurisprudence, but were not bothered with morality. Notice this. At the moment on the throne in Rome was a man that was known notoriously. The Roman believed that power was all that was necessary, and the Galilean, whether he had done anything that was wrong or not, being on the cross, could he be a king? If the Jew says preposterous, the Roman would say ridiculous.